Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today we're going to be taking a look at a medic specific weapon which I've been using lately and liking quite a lot. I've mentioned it in my best weapons video, not as necessarily my top pick for the medic, but as a weapon that is definitely a decent one to use. And I've been using it in a very aggressive way, more so than I would with, say, the Substellator M1907, which is one of my favorite medic weapons, but it's great at medium and even longer ranges. This one here, the M1907, I'm using the sweeper variant that's got a fully automatic ability to fire this weapon, is just great at close and medium range. Now, it's not going to out damage most assault weapons in close quarters. It can go toe to toe with an assault player who is not necessarily at the top of their game, but at sort of medium close range, this is where this gun does really well. It can shoot 300 rounds per minute. You don't have to keep spamming the fire button. You can just hold down in full auto mode, which will shoot, it'll feel very slowly, but again, it is a 3-shot kill in close quarters. Plus, each shot does 42 damage, so if somebody's already got 16 damage or so done to them, you can 2-shot them down. And then in addition to that, it's got a magazine reload. You can compare that to, say, the Seirigori, which also has a full auto firing capability, but that one does not have a magazine reload. You have to put in clips or individual rounds, and that takes a lot longer. So it makes it a slightly less effective close quarter weapon, as you often get caught mid-reload. And of course, it's not going to compare to the assault weapons at the same ranges, but it does have a hefty magazine of 21 rounds, so you can go through quite a few enemies before you have to reload, and it's great for sneaking up on people. Now, I like this weapon and have been enjoying the playstyle with it recently because it allows me to play up close, more personal, and more in line with my teammates who are being more aggressive. So if a squad of us push through an area, a bunch of us die, but I'm left standing, or I can finish off a few of the last guys, then I'm right there with my teammates in order to revive them really fast. Now, if we pull up the Simthic stats here, you can tell from the damage model that this gun really is being capped at a medium range weapon. As soon as we hit 40 meters, we're only doing 23 damage per shot, which means I'm gonna need 5 shots to kill my opponent, which is not really realistic with a very, very slow firing weapon like this. It's just too many shots. You can do it. You can kill people that are hurt at further ranges, but it's not really an ideal weapon to use. Plus, it loses accuracy at those further ranges the more you fire the weapon, and you really do have to spam fire this gun in order to get a kill. So close to medium range is where you want to be using this weapon. Any further than that, and you're really going to be stretching this gun to its limits. Now, contrasting this weapon with the Substellator, that weapon there is designed almost perfectly for medium to long range engagements, which is an entirely different play style for the medic. It's not quite as effective in close quarters. You can absolutely make it work in close quarters if you're a good player and you have to, but the Substellator 1916 basically forces you to stay further away from the combat, which may not be where your dying teammates are. And so that's why I'm enjoying the M1907 right now, as it gets me up there in the combat next to my dying teammates and gives me many more opportunities to play the medic class in a way where it's actually going to help out my teammates more. Now, the hipfire on this weapon isn't bad. You can make it work in close quarters, especially if you have to pop on a gas mask and you can no longer aim down sights. Generally speaking, I just try and avoid the gas in general so I can aim down sights and make full use of this weapon. If you want, using the trench variant of this gun will give you better hipfire, but I think it takes away your full auto capability. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. You can still spam fire or semi-auto this weapon just as fast as the full auto one if you want to just click your mouse real fast or pull the trigger on your controller real fast. But if you like having that just hold mouse button 1 to full auto functionality, then the sweeper variant has that benefit. I might actually test out the trench one a bit more, as I do find myself running into a lot of gas when I'm playing more aggressively on the point, and having good hipfire accuracy goes a long way. Now, as for kitting out this weapon, I think both iron sight options are totally viable. I can't decide which one I like better. And as for bayonet, it's really up to personal preference. I don't generally use the bayonet. I don't like to accidentally activate the bayonet when I don't mean to. And in addition to that, it does kind of reduce some of the other weapon mechanics very, very slightly. So if you want to be all about gun performance, then no bayonet might be the way to go. We'll have to see down the road. I might end up favoring more bayonet a little bit later, since this again is designed more for an aggressive loadout. Now, as for the medic kit, I am using the syringe here. Obviously, one of the most useful medic gadgets in the game. Great for game modes where there's tickets involved. You can see it, save your team a ticket by reviving a teammate, and also basically revive reinforcements for yourself. If you're assaulting a point, your teammates start going down, revive them and keep assaulting. Have a chance of taking that flag. One of the most useful anti-infantry and infantry support classes in the game. When it comes to dealing with tanks, you don't have a lot you can really do against them, but you can revive and keep the anti-tank classes at full health. Now here I decided to go on a little bit of a flanking mission. Again, this class has enough power that you can deal with multiple infantry, especially when you come up behind them. You can take out quite a few guys before needing to reload. So it's got fast killing potential for multiple enemies. And as my teammates go down, I revive them and continue the flank. Here I'm thinking about just pushing through the same hallway, but then again, the M1907 doesn't really have the best head-on killing potential, especially if I'm going up against assault classes or multiple enemies. I really just can't drop people that fast. I might have considered it with a shotgun or say the Automatico, but since I've got this weapon, I instead decided to continue the flanking route and take out enemies that are not facing me or not ready for me. And again, here when you don't have teammates that are being aggressive enough or getting up on the point, you have the freedom with this weapon to engage yourself. You don't really have to be that guy kind of sitting further back, waiting to try and revive your teammates who do go in and make the push. You can lead the charge yourself, which definitely works for my playstyle. I hate sitting back and having to wait on my teammates to make the correct strategic decisions. I like to be the guy running in and leading the charge a lot of the time. And once you get there, then you can revive your teammates if you survive. It just gives you options. And I like kits that give you flexibility. I don't always want to just be married to one style of play. I can support my teammates when they're playing well, but as soon as they stop playing well, then I need to be the guy that sort of goes in there and gets stuff done. As for my other gadget, I'm using this small medic pack. I like it so much better than the medic crate right now, though we may see some improvements to the medic crate down the road. Right now the medic pack is just so good and so much fun to use. It allows me to toss packs to my enemies nearby, and it allows me to quickly throw it at my feet to start healing myself, and then I can continue running. I don't have to stay in one location where my pack is. Now the medic crate, the one that stays stationary and heals anybody in a radius around it, is more useful if you're playing, say, with maybe the Sebsta and you need a long range position and you know you're going to be taking some fire from enemies and hunkered down in one location for a while, then that makes a little bit more sense. But when I'm being aggressive and needing to run around and throw med packs to my teammates, then the small one is just so much more useful. One thing I am liking about Battlefield 1 is that I'm surprised by the different playstyles that are presented, even with similar classifications of weapons. The M1907 was a fun gun to use, and now that I've been using the Sebsta 1916 for so long, coming back to it is sort of like, oh, this is a fun playstyle that I haven't tried out in a little bit. Being more aggressive with the medic is definitely a lot of fun, and I could see myself using this gun preferably over the M1916 depending on what map I'm using. If it's a long range map with a lot of big outdoor open places, I'll probably default back to some of my better long range alternatives. But if it's a close range map with a lot of close quarter combat and I feel like playing aggressive, then this is probably my new default choice. It's cool and all being the guy who supports your squads and keeps them alive, giving them health, reviving them, but when you can also be the guy that takes down the entire enemy team squad, it's sort of a whole new feeling of badassery, while keeping your teammates alive and healing yourself to boot. Healing yourself in this game is incredibly useful. The self-regen times do kick in after a little bit, but it's slow, and mid-firefight, if you can duck behind cover, throw down a med pack real quick and get yourself back up to full health before engaging your opponent who might have already taken a few shots, you're putting yourself at a huge advantage. I'm curious to see if they're going to do anything for the medic class down the road gadget-wise. At the moment, it's really hard to argue against using the syringe and med pack combo. The grenade launcher or the rifle fire grenades for the medic are fun, but just nowhere as useful for that class. The only way I'll pick those is if we're playing on a super wide open map and we absolutely have to have the cover of a smoke grenade. Otherwise, it's just not worth it. Anyway, that wraps it up for today's video. I'd recommend trying out the M1907 if you haven't for the medic class, either the sweeper or trench variant. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. This is Level Cap signing off.